It was just another weekday afternoon. The grocery store buzzed with life. Carts rolling, plastic bags rustling, soft music playing from overhead speakers. Aisle lights flickered gently, and the air carried the smell of ripe bananas and fresh bread. In checkout lane 3, the line was long. People shifted their weight, glancing at watches, sighing quietly. At the very front stood a woman in her 20s. Bright lipstick, loud heels, sunglasses still on indoors, the kind of person who made sure she was noticed. Her phone was in one hand, her other arm crossed tight, like she couldn't believe she had to wait like everyone else. Behind the register stood an older woman, late 70s maybe. Hair pulled back in a simple bun. Her hands moved slowly, but steady. Each item beeped across the scanner with care. She paused every now and then to double-check a price or count back change, not fast, but precise. Her eyes were kind, though a little tired, like someone who'd seen long days and worked through every one of them. The line moved, but not fast enough for the young woman. She huffed loud enough for everyone to hear. "Ugh, what's the holdup?" she muttered loud and sharp, like a pin dropped in a quiet room. But the cashier didn't flinch. She just kept scanning. One item, one breath, one beep at a time. The young woman sighed again, louder this time. She rolled her eyes so hard it was like she wanted the whole line to see it. "This is ridiculous," she said, tapping her phone like it had personally offended her. "Do they even train folks here or just hire anyone with a pulse?" A few heads turned. A man behind her looked down at his shoes. An older woman clutching a bag of oranges frowned and shifted her cart slightly back. Nobody said a word, but the air changed, thicker now, heavy with tension. The cashier didn't stop her hand. She just kept working, her fingers shaking a little as she reached for the next item. A can of peaches rolled slightly, and she steadied it. "I'm sorry for the delay," she said softly, not meeting the young woman's eyes. "Just trying to make sure I get everything right." Her voice was calm, gentle, not a hint of anger. But that only seemed to annoy the young woman more. "Yeah, well," she muttered. "Maybe you should try doing it a little faster." No one laughed. No one backed her up. But no one spoke up either. Not yet. Just as another awkward silence settled in, a man stepped out from the small office near the counter. Crisp white shirt, sleeves rolled neatly to his elbows. No name tag, just a quiet presence that made folks stand a little straighter without knowing why. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't rush. He simply walked over, calm and sure, like a man who'd seen a lot and didn't rattle easy. He stopped just beside the cashier and looked at the young woman. "Is there a problem?" he asked, voice low but firm. The young woman blinked, caught off guard. "She's just slow," she said, gesturing toward the cashier. "I've been in this line forever." The man looked at her, then turned to the older woman beside him. His expression softened just a bit. Then he looked back at the line. No one said a word, but eyes were watching now, quiet, waiting. The young woman crossed her arms, her voice sharper now. "Look, I don't care who you are," she snapped at the man. "But if you're in charge, maybe you should do something. Replace her with someone who can actually keep up." A small gasp came from somewhere in the line. The cashier froze for just a second, her hands resting gently on a pack of gum. She didn't look up. The man still didn't raise his voice. He didn't even blink. Instead, he stepped slightly closer and said the words that would silence the whole store. "You want me to replace her?" he asked. Steady. "This woman? The one who opened this store 40 years ago with nothing but hope and grit?" The young woman's mouth parted, but no sound came out. He turned, placing a hand gently on the cashier's shoulder. "She's not just an employee, she's my mother. She built this place, every aisle, every shelf. That's her legacy. We all work here because of her." The line went still. Carts stopped rolling. Even the music overhead seemed to quiet. The young woman's face turned pale. She looked down, suddenly very interested in her shoes. No one moved at first. Then a man in a denim cap stepped out of line and gently started bagging his own groceries. He didn't say much, just gave the cashier a small nod, like a quiet thank you. An older lady near the back cleared her throat. "Ma'am," she said, "I come here every Thursday because of you. You always smile, always take your time, and that matters." A teenage boy stepped forward too. I've seen her help my grandma when no one else would. She never rushed her. The young woman clutched her bag, eyes darting to the door. But nobody was looking at her anymore. They were looking at the woman behind the counter, the one they'd seen 100 times but never really saw. The young woman finally whispered. I didn't. Her voice was soft, shaken. She grabbed her receipt with shaky fingers, gave a quick stiff nod to the cashier and turned. Her heels clicked against the floor, fast, awkward. She left without looking back. The door closed behind her with a quiet swoosh. And then, peace. The store had gone quiet for a moment. Not silent, just softer. People weren't rushing anymore. The sound of beeping scanners and shuffling bags felt gentler somehow, like the whole room had taken a breath together. The old cashier reached for the next item on the belt. A loaf of bread, still warm in its thin paper bag. Her hands, lined and careful, moved with steady grace. She looked up at her son. "You didn't have to do that," she said quietly, her voice carrying the wear of years, not tired, but wise. She didn't look for praise. She never did. Her son, the store owner, smiled. Not the kind of smile that wants to be seen, but one that comes from a place deeper than words. "I didn't," he said gently. "But someone needed to." She chuckled under her breath. That kind of soft laugh that carried a memory inside it. "Well," she said, a twinkle in her tired eyes. "You've still got some of your father in you after all." The moment passed, but something had changed. The line began to move again, but now, slower, not from delay, but from care. Customers placed their items more gently. A man who had been quiet offered to bag his own groceries. A young woman leaned in and said, "Thank you," as her turn came. And the old cashier, the woman who had built that store from the ground up, kept scanning, her head a little higher. Because respect had finally taken its place at the register, and no one dared forget it again. Respect is earned over years, but it only takes one moment to show it matters.